All right, hopefully you guys can hear me now. Okay, great. So you guys can hear me. Hold on, I need to fix my screen here. 1 second. Uh-huh. So now we should be good. My name is Jeff Quiane. I'm filling in for John Kitchens today. I have been, thanks Jennifer for letting me know too. I have been working with Jay and Mike for a number of years. Originally started with running their ISA department with a brokerage that we had in Dallas, Fort Worth, and managed as many as close to, a little over 15 or so inside sales agents and a team of about 20 outside sales agents. And then I've also, spoke to a lot of you that are coaching clients and try to add as much value as I can there. So I'm filling in for John today while he's out of town on some business. And today's call is going to be about how to create lifelong clients using customer profiling and personas, which are terms that are thrown around a lot, but we don't usually see people use them as effectively as they could. So for those of you that don't know what I'm talking about when I say customer profiling and personas, this will give you a foundation to build on. And those of you that are familiar with what I'm talking about, but maybe are looking for different ways to use it or really how to hone in and create a specific persona, this should help you do some of that. I also want to remind everybody that we do have a boot camp in person that is going to be hosted here in Frisco, Texas, February 11th to 13th. And that's going to be 3 days of hands-on training covering everything from capturing and converting buyers all the way through to the listing presentation for sellers, to going over prospecting scripts. Everything really that you could think of is going to be covered in those 3 days. And you can go to kinderreesecoaching.com, hit the events tab, and you can find out more information about that and get registered. So moving on beyond that, I want to ask you guys a question. I'm going to switch over to my slide deck first here. But I do want to ask you a question. So, for example, if you like the Dallas Cowboys, we're in playoff season now. Cowboys did all right, obviously lost. But if you like the Cowboys and I was going to send you something, would it make any sense for me to send you stuff about the Patriots? Probably not, right? Or let's say that you are a vegetarian and I was sending you recipes to make a great steak. Again, probably not really aligned with you as an individual, right? Or let's say that you're looking for a condo downtown. Should I send you the same content as somebody who's wanting to buy a ranch property, right, in a rural part of town? Probably not. The point in asking these questions is to illustrate that not everybody is the same, guys. Not everybody is the same. And so we don't want to fall into the trap of communicating with everybody as though they're the same. We don't want to send the exact same content to everybody as though they're the same, especially when we're talking about people that we're nurturing and that we want to have a chance to do business with. It's different if we're just broadcasting content to the crowd, let's say. You know, if you think of everybody outside your door as being part of the crowd, there's general content that we could deliver to the crowd to see who's going to pay attention to what. And that's what will create the audience then, our subscribers, for instance, or the people that really consume our information. Once we've got them within our audience, it becomes really important to segment those people by creating personas and by profiling so that we can deliver content that's then relevant, specific to those segments or those groups. Just like I'm saying, if I had a list of people that like the Cowboys, they'd be getting stuff related to the Cowboys. There'd be a group of people that like the Patriots that would be getting stuff related to the Patriots. If you're a vegetarian, I'd be sending you recipes that didn't include any meat, of course. If you were looking for a condo downtown, I'm not going to send you the 200-acre ranch or information about rural living, right? So we want to make sure, especially with those nurtures that we've already captured, we want to make sure that we design campaigns that are comprised of information that's going to be relevant to them specifically. How many of you have a campaign that's going out to buyers and sellers and it's the same thing? How many of you have a campaign, one that goes to buyers and one that goes to sellers, but there's no segmentation within that? So the person who's looking to buy $1 million property is getting the same emails and content as the first-time home buyer who's looking to buy a $170,000 property. It doesn't make a lot of sense, right? Now, you're doing better than not sending anything, but one could argue also that you're alienating those customers that you want to convert by sending them stuff that doesn't mean anything to them and they tune you out also. So we want to make sure, again, that we're aligning the right content to the person that we're trying to convert. And so that's some of what we're going to talk about today, guys. And I'm just pulling up my notes. If you see me looking over here to the side, I've got some notes written down that I am pulling up. And that's what I am doing here. So what we're going to cover today is the difference between profiling and persona. It's really easy to get those two confused or think that they're the same. They're really close, but we're going to discuss a couple key differences between a profile and a persona. We're going to talk about what using profiling and personas is going to do as far as helping your business. And we're also going to talk about how to create a customer profile and persona. Those are a few things that we're going to cover today. And the learning objectives, guys, are things that I would like for you to be able to accomplish once we finish this call today. So later on this afternoon, tomorrow, this weekend, you sit down and you try to implement and use some of the things that we talk about. Those would be what we call our learning objectives. So the two that we're going to set forth for today is create a customer profile and persona for your buyers and your sellers, as well as to create a customer persona and profile for one niche market that you want to grow in 2019. So breaking that down, first, creating a customer profile and persona for buyers or sellers. Sometimes you have a buyer, sometimes you have a seller, sometimes you have somebody who is both. It might make sense to actually create 3 different personas and profiles to cover all 3 of those, buyers, sellers, and those that are both. And the way that we would implement this in the real world is, most of you probably are working with a database manager or a CRM that allows you to pre-design plans or campaigns that will be delivered to certain people based on a group maybe that they're in, or however it works. You drop them into a plan, and that triggers the start of the delivery of the content, or this part of that campaign. And so we would have a plan designed for buyers, and once we captured a buyer, we'd put them in that plan that would deliver information that should be relevant to them. The same with a seller. When we captured a seller, we would have a seller plan that would deliver content relevant to a seller. And then those that are buying and selling, we could provide content through a plan that's relevant to them. And usually that's as simple as just clicking a button, adding a tab, dropping somebody into a group, and it's off and running without you having to do anything else. Now, there is work that's required on the front end, like spending the time to understand the profile of your customer, like creating a customer persona, so you know a little bit more about that customer and what messages and messaging they might respond to. It takes time to craft the emails or create the content. But once you have all of that stuff done on the front end, just imagine dropping somebody into a group, and the next 15 pieces of content, whether text, email, whatever it is that you have designed to be delivered, happens automatically, and you don't have to worry about it. And so that's how we would use our customer profiles and personas in our office. That would be to create the campaign then that we would deliver through usually an automated plan. When we're talking about one niche market, let's give some examples of that. So let's say, I'm in Grapevine, Texas, as a matter of fact, which isn't too far from the lake. It's about 20 minutes from downtown Dallas. It is not a big city. It has a small town charm to it. It's the Christmas capital of Texas. It has an old cobblestone brick main street. You get the picture. It's not downtown Dallas with the big skyline and Reunion Tower and the big lit up ball that you see as a major landmark downtown. It's not that. Now, if I wanted to capture more clients here in Grapevine, I would likely need to promote different messaging to get that audience interested. In Grapevine, we're talking about Christmas. We're talking about the lake. We're talking about the Gaylord Convention Center. We're talking about being 7 minutes from the airport. We're talking about being centrally located to either Fort Worth or Dallas. If you don't like the traffic and the hustle and bustle, Grapevine is for you. Small town charm, big lots. You can have horses. I mean, all of these things would be relevant to somebody who I'm trying to capture, either who lives in Grapevine, because the people in Grapevine typically live here because they like those things, or if I'm trying to capture people who are wanting to move to Grapevine, they're likely interested in those same sort of things also. If you were to live somewhere that is really right on the lake, and everybody moves there to be by the lake, and you want to start doing more business in that neighborhood, then that would be a niche you would want to start to create content for, stuff that's relatable to people who like living around the lake. What's the best pair of sandals out there? What's the best restaurant to eat lakeside? What are the pitfalls of living too close to the lake? How do you evaluate a property that's on its lakeshore or has lakeshore access? All those kind of things would be questions and concerns that would probably be more relevant to that person. So we want to find the niche. If it's a subdivision that you want to take over and be the dominant agent in, what do the people in that subdivision like about it? Right? Is it because there's a playground in the center of it? Is it in a good school district? Are they brand new homes? Are there a lot of amenities? Is it close to shopping? Is it close to restaurants? What restaurants? What are the most popular destinations? What do 60% of the people in that subdivision do on a Saturday and Sunday? That's going to allow you to better understand the people that are living in that area and that are wanting to live in that area. And with that information, you can craft content that's specifically related to them. So the next time I talk to somebody through my prospecting efforts or however it might be, and they say that they're interested in that particular subdivision, I have a plan already pre-designed with content that's relevant to people looking in that area, and that person gets dropped in that plan, and now they're getting specific information that's aligned, hopefully, to what they're interested in. And I could name that plan XYZ subdivision. Anybody looking to purchase or sell an XYZ subdivision gets content that's included in that plan, and it's been specifically chosen based on the persona of the people that are in that area. So whatever your niche is, if it's you want to be the high-rise boss and sell all the high-rises in your city, then think about what those people want. They want full amenity buildings, right? Easy access parking, easy access to transportation, all those kind of things might be important. So with all this, some of the problems that we hope to solve are people might not be consuming your content. If you're posting stuff on Facebook or you're posting stuff on YouTube or you're sending out emails through your database, maybe you have the ability to see the open rate or the consumption rate on that content. If you're seeing that people are not consuming your content, then there's a chance that it just isn't aligned with the people that you're sending it to. And so better understanding the persona of those individuals should help you create better content. And at the core of this, ideally, you'd have many different plans or campaigns. Really, I should use the word campaign because that is what they are. And we should all get used to using that terminology. But we would have all kinds of different campaigns, depending on how many different personas we work with. Now, maybe you want to say, I only work these couple personas. Well, then you're going to create content for those personas and you're going to focus on that. But you want to have it segmented. Again, not just a buyer plan or a buyer campaign, not just a seller campaign, but dive deeper. It's okay to have a buyer campaign and a seller campaign. Of course, you should have them. But then go beyond that. What about that first time home buyer campaign? What about that luxury home buyer campaign? What about the rural property campaign? What about the downtown campaign? You see what I'm saying? Another problem is that you could be working with clients that you don't want to work with. Like I just said, you might say, I only want to work with these personas. If you're working with clients that you don't want to work with, you can control to some aspect, right? I mean, we all need to do what we need to do, but at some point, you can make the choice on who you want to work with. The problem is that there's not always a steady stream of those clients knocking on your door or picking up their phone or however it is that you're getting in front of them. And so what we're forced to do is work with any client that happens to show up. Now, what if we had spent a good amount of time to create specific campaigns with content that we knew was relevant to the niche or the personas that we wanted to work with? I could then send that messaging out and start to get more people who matched the profile of who I wanted to do business with. And then I would be able to choose whether or not or how much time I wanted to spend with clients who didn't meet my ideal client persona. A great example of that is price points, right? If you want to increase your income, you can do that really easily by increasing the average sales price of the homes that you sell. And there are usually neighborhoods or areas within your territory that provide that opportunity. You just need to better understand the customers that are there, or the people that live there, the customers you have that are wanting to live there, what the common themes are between all of them, what they like, where do they go, all those different things, so that you can then create content to market and capture more people. It would be a good fit for that. And then you're now dealing with more buyers and more sellers in an area where the average home price is more, and your GCI goes up, your total sales go up, trickles all the way down. Even to somebody who's maybe an ISA, who's one of the most important people on your team, cranking it on the phone, right? Maybe you're giving them an incentive based on anything that closes that they generate. You just gave them a pay raise also by focusing on areas where there's a higher home sales price. We would then take and focus that ISA on those neighborhoods and have them circle prospect in those neighborhoods so that we can start capturing people that we can then put into the campaign so that they can start receiving that relevant content. Other problems could be that your marketing isn't generating the ideal client, like we just talked about. We understand that it's not about only dealing with your ideal client, but you can make it that way if you want to. Or you don't know what your ideal client looks like. So going through the exercise of creating a profile and a persona will help identify for you what your ideal client looks like. I know a lot of us probably could say what we think our ideal client looks like. I want somebody who's a cash buyer who's looking to purchase a home at, you know, $250,000 to $325,000 because that sucker is going to close quick. I want them to have, you know, timeline of 30 days or whatever. But those are just the outcomes that we want, right? Those aren't why that person wants to be there. All those other things that are deeper than what we would probably just spit off as what we want our ideal client to be. Those are the things that we need to understand, right? What does our ideal client really look like? What do they want? What are their concerns? All those kind of things. And you do it on a piece of paper. Right? You get out a piece of paper and you really put some thought into breaking that down and recount as many as you can. And I'm going to give you a worksheet, show you a couple examples on what that looks like today. Also, you may have the same messaging and the same content for everyone, which is not good. We discussed the reasons for that. So everybody probably has content that's going out to everyone. We just want to now segment that content so that we can create categories and then add to it so that we have relevant content going to people based on how we've segmented them or grouped them or however it is that you're going to do it. One good exercise that you can do is whatever content that you might have, whether it's email, whether it's mail, whether it's Facebook, whatever the content library of content is that you have right now, I would take a step back, kind of look at it from a 30,000-foot view, categorize, you know, like, okay, this is for great content for buyers. This is great content for sellers. You know, this piece could be both. This is a great piece for somebody who's buying their first home. Oh, this is a great piece for somebody who has had a listing that expired, that didn't sell. And so start thinking of the content you have right now in that way. And even if it's only 2 or 3 things right now, at least you can branch those things out and you can have a few pieces of content that you know without a doubt will strike a chord with certain groups within your database. So looking at what a customer profile is, let's talk about that for a second. So a customer profile would be the specific characteristics of the client, right? Stuff like credit, stuff like finances, the age, whether they want a house, whether they want a condo, whether they want to live in a rural area, downtown, whether they're a first-time home buyer, second home buyer. This is the profile of that customer, right? What does it look like? So the customer profile is what does it look like, as opposed to a customer persona. The customer persona should be related more to the emotional aspects of the customer, right? Like what their needs are. So let's think if somebody was selling their home, why are they selling the home? Do they want to downsize? Do they want to upsize? You know, are they moving into a condo? Do they want less traffic? Do they want to be closer to certain landmarks? These are the kind of things that would make up your customer persona. And when you better understand what they want or what they need, you have a better chance of creating content that they'll consume. When people start consuming what you're sending them, you're building credibility, trust, and rapport. And with those 3 things and a little human communication, you can go a long way at converting customers that are in your database. So it's not just about what their needs are or what they want, but also what do they listen to? Who do they trust? What do they watch? Where do they go to get advice? What do they do for fun on the weekends? Where are they going? What are they worried about? Like, what keeps them up at night? Where do they go? Like I say, on the weekends, what are the places that they visit? And again, you're going to get all this stuff documented on a worksheet or on a piece of paper so that you can see it, and it will help you extract these things from outside of your head and getting them down in a position where you can see them and really internalize them. And some of them you may go, oh, you know what, that's not right. Or some of them you might go, oh, let me think deeper on that one. And it's a great exercise that will really help you dig a little bit deeper to better understand your customer. So customer persona, as compared to the profile, where the profile, the characteristics, right? Like, I want to move downtown. Okay, so customer profile of people that want to move downtown. But the persona of that person is why they want to move downtown. Why do they want to move downtown? Right? How's that going to affect their life? That's going to be, and what do the people that live downtown want? What do they listen to? What kind of lifestyle do they lead? And what kind of content could I create that somebody who lives downtown or wants to live downtown would consume? What events could I host that people who live downtown or want to live downtown would attend? Some examples of people that, or companies, people and companies that do a really good job of using personas and profiles are companies like Netflix, of course, right? If you watch Netflix, then they've got the little thing as you scroll down that says, if you watch this, or because you watch this, you probably will like these shows, right? So they've got a customer profile and a persona, I guarantee it. And they know that people that watch Will and Grace like these other shows, and they have that pre-mapped out. They have it pre-mapped out. So, hey guys, if somebody watches Will and Grace, what other shows would they probably like? These? Okay, great. Now we're going to have a campaign that's going to show up and show them these other shows that they might like, specific to them, right? The person that's watching Dexter, right? They probably aren't going to get the same stuff in their feed, just like Facebook. Based on what you're consuming, what you're clicking on, etc., they put information in front of you that's aligned to your interests. They're using profiling and personas. Those are two easy ones. We know that. But what about teachers? Think about teachers. Teachers have to think about their audience, the students on the other side of that desk. And what's their persona like? What's their profile? What are their distractions? What are they interested in? What are they more likely to engage with? How can I get them more involved? If they like video games or doing stuff on computers, it's probably good to get them involved in doing things through that medium then, right? So teachers do a good job of using profiling and personas. Speakers, right? They need to know their audience. What's the audience interested in? What's the audience worried about? What are the threats that the audience might have? What are the threats that I might have as the speaker, right, in relation to the audience? Like, what do I need to watch out for? This audience has a real short attention span, so I got to make sure that my stuff is short and concise. Maybe that's, something. So those are some examples, including, last but not least, which we all are here, and that's salespeople. I know I've run into many, many agents who resist the label of a salesperson, but let's face it. I mean, we are all salesperson. It doesn't matter what you do. If you're a secretary, you're selling the business as soon as you say hello. It doesn't matter what you do. You're selling yourself, or you're selling the value that you can provide to somebody. So we're all salespeople, and I think as soon as we recognize that, we'll start selling more. Because if I'm a salesperson, then my job is to get sales. Now, it doesn't mean that we have to be some slick, greasy salesperson that is the image conjured a lot of times. It's our job to change that image, right? It's our job to be a salesperson, gosh darn it, but do it in a way It changes the stereotypical image of a salesperson. And I'll tell you what, one great way to do it is to understand the person that you are talking to. You know, most salespeople, or a lot of them, the people that we don't want to be, they don't have certain personas and certain profiles based on who they're talking to. They treat everybody the same, and they bang, 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 bang. They ask for the order, right? They twist people's arm, all those things. Versus treating the individual based on their needs, their wants, their interests, and really crafting a strategy specific to them. That's what real successful salespeople do. And you will see that a lot when you get into really high-end products, high-end sales, like real estate, like the financial services industry, like people that sell big yachts or people that sell jets, people that sell businesses. On any of those transactions, there's usually a fair amount of time spent beforehand to investigate and profile the customer, potential customer at that stage, and understand, right, who their influences are, what they listen to, what they trust, what they really need, why they want the things that they want. There's time spent to understand all of those things so that they can then craft the sales process so that it's more aligned with what that person wants. It's not rocket science, but it is science. It doesn't take a whole lot of time, but it takes some time to get these things created and to internalize them so that you can use them in the real world. So Netflix, Facebook, teachers, speakers, salespeople, all examples of people that use personas in profiles effectively. And there's a lot more out there that we didn't cover there, but those are some good examples. Now I'm going to show you an example of a couple personas and profiles so you can get a sense on what they look like. And it'll help you also kind of create your own. So this is a real basic profile here. So this is a persona, a persona of a person who's a technical decision maker. One of the things that you want to do when you're creating your personas is give them a name, right? This one's the transformational leader. So you could have Bobby the buyer or Sally the seller, but come up with a fictional name. You want to treat these like they are a character. Like this is a character in a storyline. This is a hypothetical customer. But give it a name, create a character. And so underneath, we talk about what this person does. And so in this case, if I was trying to talk to a technical decision maker, that person is likely the chief information officer. They develop the IT strategies and the roadmap, right? They lead the technology team. Those are the things that that person does. The key attributes for that person, we'd want to identify the age. So in this case, you're talking about 40 to 55-year-old person. They usually would have a master in science, an executive MBA. They'd have a certain amount of experience. So think about the key attributes of your home sellers and your home buyers in your particular area. What's the attitude of these individuals? Right? Business savvy, frugal, skeptical, against vendor claims. Those kind of things are what we see here. Reputation, job focus, pain points, all things that we want to consider. Keywords used to search information. And so a good exercise is when you're trying to create one of these profiles, put yourself in the customer's shoes. So let's say that you were somebody looking to purchase a property in XYZ. What would that person do if they got online and started to look for properties, right? Or look for information about making that move? Just go through the journey that they would. And the keywords that you're typing in are likely the same keywords or searches that that individual would be typing in. Where you end up, the content, the web pages, the articles, the influencers that you find credible and going through that journey are likely the same that the customer is going to find. So you can start to get a sense on what information they're going to consume, what they would find credible. You can start to create similar information if you're using targeting in Facebook, or if you're creating target audiences in other ways. You can use all that information to better target your audience, to create lookalike audiences, all those different types of things. What are the values of the individual? What are the fears, the pet peeves? What are their internal influences, motivators, informational sources, content preferences, where they consume their information? All that is important in understanding how I can create then a campaign full of content that this person would consume. A different look at a profile is something like this. And so this is for real estate. And we can see here we've got an overview, and we've got on the other side all their needs. Here's another profile. Rachel, the stay-at-home mom, right? The lifestyle. It's hectic for Rachel. She has the children and home responsibilities. The husband leaves early and comes home late. There's financial pressure. What about personal background? So 40 years old, married with no children. Okay, business background, marketing background. Got it. Okay, husband has a high-paying job in finance. Their challenges and pain points. Sell a property at a good price in a bad market. High mortgage with little cash to spare. Need to downsize and reduce mortgage, right? So right here, what content could you create that would answer or provide help for those three challenges right there? You might have that already. Again, taking your content library and segmenting it so that this goes here, that goes there, this is for that person. Really take a step back and segment your content in that way. Where do they go for information? Right? Are they heavy internet users? Most people are today. Are they doing it on the computer, or are they doing it on their cell phone? A lot of people are probably doing it on their cell phone. So you want to have content that would be delivered through both of those mediums. Are they on Facebook, LinkedIn, Pinterest? Likely they are. You shouldn't have any qualms about trying to find them on any one of those channels or platforms. If it's somebody who's on Instagram a lot, you think, then you might want to have content or ads that are targeting those individuals on Instagram. MSN Messenger is something that I'm starting to get more of. I get just blind texts and stuff through MSN Messenger now, the same as text messages. A text message has an 80% view rate. I believe it's more than that, 90%, almost 100% view rate, right? And so text messages can be a great way to get your message received these days. Now, if I'm talking about Dawn, the assisted living customer, text message probably isn't going to be a medium that would work for them. They probably wouldn't find their information on Facebook or LinkedIn. That they might actually get all their information still through the mail or via phone. So they have different ways in different areas that they consume their information. So it's important to take those into account. I do have one persona here that we created, and I'll just give you an example of what it looks like. This is, let me see here. Give me 1 second to pull this up. Okay. So here is, this is a template actually that I can share with everybody that will help you fill out your persona. Matter of fact, I will share that with everybody in the group. And Wouldn't you know it? Can't find it now. All right, here we go. So this is one that we use, guys, for, as I mentioned, I run inside sales predictability, and we help agents with anything related to inside sales agents. One of those is we'll actually recruit, hire, and train ISAs for agents. And this is a persona that we created for our campaigns that would be delivered to people who are looking to hire an ISA. So, and this is a template I can share with everybody as well. You might adjust a few things, but I can definitely share it with you. So who are they? In this case, agents wanting to expand and grow their business with predictability using prospecting and nurturing. That's usually the person who's wanting to hire an ISA. They want predictable deal flow. They want reliable and qualified candidates. They want better lead qualifying and conversion. What don't they know? They don't know how to hire an ISA that will make them money rather than cost them money. They don't know how many listing opportunities they're losing without an ISA. You can see the power in doing that. I mean, when you sit down and you go, so what does my buyer want? Like, man, so it forces you to really dig deep. And here's a tip, guys. Take all your past clients. You have every persona right now. Take everybody that you have already done business with and start recounting and detailing who they were, what did they want, what didn't they know. All of those things, that's information you know, and you will see some common themes there, so you don't have to come up with it out of the blue, right? Job title. In your area, what do most of the people do for a living that you end up doing business with? Stage of business. That was not likely applicable for what we're talking about today. But here's what really I think is powerful. So the psychology, what are they reading, right? And I literally, do the research and find out exactly what they're reading. Whoops. What are they watching? So in this case, well, they're probably watching Brian Eisenhower, YouTube, maybe Adam Bailey, YouTube, on YouTube, Real Geeks, Inside Sales. What are they listening to? Some podcasts there. Where are they going? Started to list out events. Sources of information. So what websites does this agent who wants to hire an ISA go to get information? Well, here's all kinds of different websites that I determine they're probably visiting here. What people influence them? All these people here are probably influencers, right? In addition to us, hopefully, at some small level. But the great thing about this, guys, is once you have all this, if you know where your buyers are going to consume information, if you know what they like to follow, even if it's just stuff in the neighborhood, right? Whether it's restaurants, whether it's stores, if it's venues, whatever it is, when I have all that information, I can start creating target audiences in Facebook, for instance, to target people that follow those pages or that express interest in those topics or interests, right? So this stuff becomes really powerful, but you do have to spend the time to do it. It's not, at least in my case, it's not something that I was able to just sit down and in a few minutes, like complete, at least not to the level that I felt it should be completed. So, it takes a minute, and if you don't feel a strain, kind of, you should feel like you have to kind of really dig deep. Like if I said, what are your 3 favorite things to eat? You might have the first 3 come to your mind real quickly, but then you think about, well, what else? Number 4, number 5. I said you had to list 10. Those last 4 or 5 might take you a little bit longer. And it's that feeling there where you're really searching and you're digging deep to not just get the low-hanging fruit, but to find the other stuff that's beyond that. That's really where I think you'll get the most value. So for me, it didn't happen real quick. I mean, it likely took me 45 minutes or more
to come up with this profile. And a lot of it was doing research, going online and participating in the same journey that I anticipate my customer would as well, right? And so that's how you end up coming with all these other things. You know, if I'm somebody who's, you know, looking to hire an ISA, I'm probably active on realtor.com. I probably have a CRM. So things like Follow Up Boss, Top Producer, those kind of things are probably pages I might follow. You know, BombBomb, ZBuyer, all things I'd probably follow. Somebody who has those kind of, somebody who's following those pages or who's active, you know, with those groups or however it is they're engaging with them, they likely have leads coming in. That's probably why somebody who has leads coming in wants somebody to call them. And so the person who wants to hire an ISA rarely is somebody who doesn't have any leads coming in. Rarely is it somebody who doesn't follow any of these portals or people, right? So take all that into account. Let's see if I have another one here. I know I created, and you'll notice the name isn't on that one, but what I had is we actually named him like Johnny Wanna Hire, and we had a bunch of them, 3 as a matter of fact, not a bunch. Yeah, but we had Johnny Wanna Hire, Will I Had an ISA, Will I Had an ISA was another one. So you get the point there. But make sure that you do create a character out of it, and it will make it easier to go through that exercise. And let me just see if I can, I know I've got one more here before we finish off today's call. I'll share a link to these personas. We'll open it up to a couple questions, but I wanted to show you just one more if I could find it here. Here you go. So here's one for somebody who had an ISA, right? So this was a persona that we created for somebody who had an ISA before, but no longer has an ISA, right? I use the same worksheet. Who are they? These are agents who at one point saw the value of having an ISA to grow their business. What don't they know? How to execute and manage the model to be profitable. That's likely why it didn't work the first time, maybe. What meeting, training rhythms and processes they need to use. That could be why they had an ISA. They don't anymore. What result would this service provide? Well, we would successfully be able to hire, onboard, and train a high-quality ISA. Other products they might be interested in is our hiring program, you know, our hiring funnel, sending somebody to a boot camp. They want a done-for-you system to convert their ISA. These are all things that that person would want based on their experience. They're likely reading and watching some of the same things, and their sources of information and influences are likely the same as well. But this person has a different problem than the person who wants to hire an ISA. Just like the person who's wanting to buy a vacation home has a different set of problems, wants, and needs. They go to different places for information than the person who's buying their first home. So you want to make sure that you segment and do as many segments as you feel is necessary to cover the scope of you know, your business demographic. You know, you likely deal with 3 to 5 different personas, probably, you know, 3 to 5 different personas at least. And if you really start digging down into looking at subdivision level, you know, in different neighborhood personas, stuff like that, you should end up with even more. But just imagine, you know, if there's 10 neighborhoods that you serve, why not have a campaign for each one of those neighborhoods? And every time somebody told me that they were looking to purchase in that neighborhood, or if I needed to capture buyers in that neighborhood, working on behalf of a seller, I would have a campaign full of all the relevant content that somebody who's interested in that neighborhood would consume. I'd have 10 different campaigns for each one of those neighborhoods. And when I talk to somebody and they say they're interested in a certain neighborhood, they get dropped into that specific neighborhood campaign, and they'd see exclusive content handpicked for them. Versus the other person who liked neighborhood 5, they get a whole different campaign with specific content relevant to them. Pretty powerful stuff when you start doing that. And I promise you that you'll see your consumption rate go up. And the more that people consume your information, the more that they'll trust you, the more that they will find you the credible authority in that area, and the more that they will do business with you, right? And you're building rapport along the entire way. So my challenge for you guys at the end of this call over the next couple of days, or when you have a chance, is to develop a persona for your buyers and your sellers, and then also develop a persona for one niche market that you want to grow in 2019. So think of that one area that you want to become dominant in 2019, and start to think about what that customer that you're wanting to capture is interested in. What's their profile? What are the characteristics? And what's their persona? What are the emotions involved? What are their needs, their wants? Where do they go to get information, etc.? And let's kill it at capturing that niche and deliver relevant content. We'll build a campaign then. If you need some help getting any of that done in your system, I'm sure we can help. I know myself and my team has experience working with just about every platform, because we do calling for so many different agents, you know, and we do it through all the different platforms. So we've got experience with AV Core, Top Producer, Boomtown, Sync, Market Maker, Real Geek, Perfect Storm, Chime, you know, you name it. I'm leaving out a bunch there probably that I would think of. But so if you need some help, don't hesitate to reach out to us. Let me find a link here, guys, to this persona, and I will share that with you. So I'm going to share two things with you guys. There's a folder that has the personas I just went over. And so what you can do is you can just delete the information that I had in there and change maybe the title, right, of the topics, the categories, and then you can run with it to create your own. I'm getting a link right now that I can share with everybody. So that link will take you to a folder where you can access those personas I just showed you and make use of them on your own. Let me make sure I have sharing settings on correctly here so everybody can access it. Otherwise, it'll tell you that I need to give you permission, right? We don't want that. So we want to share. All right, so everybody should be able to get that link, and there's another example I'm going to share with you. And if anybody ends up coming up with one on their own that they think works really well, we would love to see it. Share it with us. There's another one there, and there's one other one I wanted to share with you guys. Let's see. All right. Well, I can't find the other one, guys. I'll send it to you guys after the call. But that folder I just sent you should give you everything you need to get started. So Jennifer just asked where to access the share links. So you should see them in the chat group here. I just dropped them in there. There they are again, Jennifer. I appreciate everybody for joining the call today. If I sound a little under the weather, I don't know if anybody else out there has been dealing with the cold lately, but I went to Care Now yesterday and had have a viral infection. So I feel like I sound a little hoarse. I apologize. So I see you guys don't see the links. Weird. Let me try this. So I just put a link in the chat. Nobody has seen these links. Weird. I see them in the chat room. Well, let's see. Here we go. It was sending for some reason to all panelists and not to all attendees. So there's that one, and this one here. Boom. So we could go real deep on this subject, guys. This isn't meant to be everything that we could possibly learn about profiling and personas. We just wanted to get a basic foundation with this call today so that you can get started at least using them. The key takeaway is going to be digging real deep into what they want, where they go for information, what they consume, right? What types of information do they consume? And you can go online, by the way. Let me show you this real quick. This is a good one. So you can go to, here's this profile too I wanted to share with you. Let me drop this in there. Well, that link isn't going to work, is it? Well, I'll get that one to everybody afterwards. But you can go to sites like BuzzSumo, for instance, is a good one. And what it'll do is allow you to put in a topic to see what the most popular content online is right now related to that topic. So let's say that I put in the topic buying a new home. What it's going to do is show me the stuff that has the highest engagement. So I can see here, this one, New Zealand bans foreigners from buying homes. 21,000 people have engaged with that on Facebook, Twitter, and so on. Buy online, build yourself. You won't believe the new kit home, 6.9 thousand there. So you can see what current content is out there related to your subject and whether or not people are consuming it or not. And then you can model some content after that, right? And so for instance, when we're coming up with blog posts and I need to come up with an idea for a blog post, I would use something like this. If I was creating a white paper for a specific persona, right? I would use my persona and the information I compiled during that process to then go in here to search a particular topic and then see what's being engaged most, you know, what content are people consuming most and engaging with related to that topic, and I could create some similar topic. There is another site called SCM Rush. BuzzSumo is that first site, everybody. BuzzSumo. It's a funny name, isn't it? But it is buzzsumo.com. And then the other one is SEM Rush.
and it is also good for doing the same thing. So what I do is I use both. Sometimes I can find more on one than the other, or I find different ones. Let's see if I can just get in here to show you guys. I'm already registered. Of course I am. So just let me sign in then. Don't you hate websites where they just don't have the sign on button right there? Oh, guess that's user error, huh? Oh, now it's asking me to buy something. Can I just get to where I can use it here, guy? There we go. All right. So let's say selling a home. And so what SEMrush will do is not only show you content like this that's related to your subject, but it will also show you the keywords that people are using to find content related to that subject. And so this will help you come up with keywords if you're going to do any kind of targeted marketing and stuff on Google, for instance. And it'll also help you see what people are searching so that you can create content to answer those questions, like costs of selling a home. Boom, right there. I could create a white paper, right, on what you need to know about selling a home and the costs involved with doing so. Closing costs when selling a home. People are searching that. And then it's gonna, I think it's not gonna give me the full report probably. But you can see how, hopefully you can see how you would use this information. How to sell your own home. Right there, boom. Cost per click, and you can also, so from a marketer standpoint, if you're running ads, you can get a sense on what the cost per click is and stuff like that. But this is, the way that I use this is what my customer base is looking for. And if they're looking for selling a home, they're also looking at stuff, typing in their search engine, stuff like tips for selling a home. Well, I could create some content then for that. And when they search tips for selling a home, guess who they might find? Me. Once I talk to that person, I have a whole campaign that provides more content, right? Because I discovered that this was one of the things that they were searching for, and it was one of the subjects that they were wanting to learn more about as I did my exercise creating the profile and the persona. Christians sell funeral home. Well, I don't know about that one. How to sell your home. If people are searching for how to sell your home, they're looking for help, right, on the different steps. So you could create several different assets or content pieces to answer that question, right? Step number 1, when it comes to selling your home. Boom. Step number 2, step number 3, the 5 things that you need to know when it comes to selling your home in order to get the most money, right? 5 things to know if you live in the city and want to move out of the city, right? For that type of persona. But these 2 tools will get the mind going, and there's a lot more functionality that you can get out of these tools if you dig around, spend some time using them. But BuzzSumo and SEMrush will help along the way in creating those profiles. All right, guys. So let's see, it's 1:08. I ran a little bit late. I apologize. I had some mix-up getting started. We know that. So thank you guys for joining the call. I'll open it up here for a minute. If anybody does have a question, a comment, anything at all, hopefully I can help answer it for you. You can unmute yourself and feel free to engage. Otherwise, we'll end today's call if I don't have anything here in the next minute or so. Also remind everybody, if you want to get more training and you feel like you'd be best suited to get it in person, face-to-face, check out one of our boot camps. The next one's February 11th to 13th. It'll be 3 days. It'll be myself, Kay Kinder, John Kitchens, Wally Bressler, Michael Reese. We will all be there providing as much content as we can. Some of you have probably been before, but if not, we would love to see you, and shoot me an email if you have any questions about the stuff that we've gone over today. Awesome. Well, we look forward to seeing you there, Rose. Rose is going to be here in Frisco for our boot camp. So if you have any questions, send me an email. The best one to use, like many of you, I have
too many, but Jeff at InsideSalesPredictability.com. So Jeff at InsideSalesPredictability.com is where you can shoot me an email. If there's anything I forgot to deliver today, shoot me an email and I'll get it to you. If you want to schedule a call, do a quick strategy session or something on how to determine what the personas are, what the niche maybe that you want to go after this year is, and how we can develop a campaign and then implement that within your database, I'm more than happy to spend some time to go over that with you. Just shoot me an email and we will get some time on the calendar. So thank you guys for joining the call. Have a great rest of the day. Crush it the rest of the week. And we will see you guys next week. Bye.